Hello, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we are going to learn how to paint these blue flowers. These are Texas Bluebonnets. They're a form of lupin, so if you change the colors, you could even do fuchsia, whatever lupin color you want, but a request was made for Texas Bluebonnets, and that is what I did. So this one is painted on a background, a faux wood background. But today I am going to just show you how to do it on a piece of palette or a canvas paper or watercolor paper. You can use that too. I like them both for the surface. The colors I'm going to be using today is Folk Art Multi-Surface Ink Spot. I have a couple of lighter blues, but I don't really use a lot of them. Look at Me Blue is one of them. That's this one, and that one is another lighter shade. You can just stick with the ink spot and add white to it if you want some lighter blue. That's the different colors are just variations. Sometimes I mess around with different colors, but you don't have to. You can just mix your own colors up, and you can use any very dark blue you want that you looks like you're going to get close to your desired end effect. Also, the greens are my favorite, very dark green, which is Thicket, and the lighter green I'm going to go with this time is Cut Grass, Fresh Cut Grass. These are Folk Art Multi-Surface colors by Plaid. I use a lot of Plaid Folk Art. I'm really liking the multi-surface paints. They have more of a satin sheen, and then this is Wicker White. This is a pearl finish. White pearl. You don't have to have that. I just enjoyed putting a little bit of sheen on it for messing around. And that's basically the colors we're going to be using. The brush that I use for the actual flower buds, the blue part, is this filbert. It is a number 8 Royal Majestic filbert. It's the number on it's 4170. I found these on Amazon. I'll also list other sites or a site where I get different brushes. The other brush I'm going to be using is this number 8 flat for the chisel edge, the little stems, and probably the leaves. When I say probably, sometimes I change my mind when I'm not getting the effect I want. So let's get started. I am going to first use the number 8 flat. Now I always start with a dampened brush. I'm dampening my brush and touching it on a towel to get it started. Now, starting with a damp brush, I'm just telling you this so you know, it does help to keep the paint from drying too fast, and if you do get it up on the ferrule, it's easier to get out. So I always try to start that way. Now I'm going to double load this, just so you know. I have a couple of tutorials, or a tutorial on basic brush strokes, and it shows you how I double load. You don't necessarily have to double load. I just always like the variation in color that you get. You could just load all in one color to get the stems, because the focus is really going to be on the flowers. So the stems aren't that big of a deal. So let's get started. I had one stem I had started for another tutorial, and that whole video just went belly up. So I have my paintbrush double loaded, and you try to use a light touch. I'm coming at this at an odd angle, so it's kind of hard for me to really gauge how I'm doing as far as the light touch. And then to get the little side shoots or branches, this is, I would do the larger ones for like the leaf. I'm going to double load again, or reload I should say. Reload my brush, and then I'm going to do these little side stems. You just want them light. You don't need, and you don't even have to have them touch, because you're going to make the blue buds go over top, and you can cover whatever little faux pas you make. And you can kind of do that. You don't have to do that part at the top if you don't want to, because you can go back in and do it. I'm always about trying to be as easy as possible with this thing. With painting, I shouldn't say this thing. With painting. Now I'm going to load my filbert with the ink spot blue. It's the darkest one. I want the darkest on the bottom. Now if you look at lupines or Texas bluebonnets, they have the buds in clusters, and they go along these little side stems. Now to see what I'm doing, let me see if I can get this. I got a little clumpy on there. I am pressing, twisting my brush, and lifting to get the upside down teardrop shape. And I'm kind of doing them in threes. And you don't have to be perfect. You see that one's kind of funky looking, but it's not a big deal. And you can get going faster. Now, if you see this one over here, it's a little bit wider on the bottom than it is at the top. If you look at pictures of Texas bluebonnets, some of them, the lower buds have already fallen off, so it's all up here. So you can look at pictures and kind of copy what they look like until you get the effect you want. And we're really just going for an impression of the flower. You're not always wanting to be perfect or to get an exact replica. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to touch into a lighter blue here just to add some variation in color. And I turn over the brush because it gets clumpy. And then I go and reload. If I don't like it, I go over it. And I work my way up. Less is more to begin with. You can add more in as you look at what your flower model looks like. You can add variations of color by tapping in another blue. I add a little look at me blue. Now when I did my one model, let me see, this is the one I like the best so far. If you can see that. I was looking at a picture of a Texas bluebonnet. So sometimes it really helps to have a reference photo. You can just fudge along. And like I said, sometimes less is more. Now with the Texas bluebonnets, you see this one here? Oh, I can't see this one. I have white up here. I did a little scrunch in of green so you could see the white. And they do have a white tip, but because this background is white, it's not going to show up doing a white. So what I will do is I could do another background of green, or I could just come up with a lighter blue, give it a little background, and then go in, and here's what I'm going to do with the white. I'm going to load with white. I've rinsed my brush out, and I've loaded with white. I just dab it in, and then I'm going to go with the edge of it, and I'm just going to put in that white. And I picked up a little bit of blue, so I guess I didn't get that in there. I'm going to do that again. Sorry. I loaded with white, and then I just tapped in some, it's kind of in a cone shape. And then I'm going to go along, and with the edge of my brush, just going to tap in some little white points. If you look at Texas bluebonnets, they have these little white dots. Some of them have a touch of yellow. And you can guess or put in it as many or as little as you like, depending on your photo. And that basically is how you paint a Texas bluebonnet. Now, some of the pictures, like I said before, they had a more conical shape. Like this is wider and comes up narrower. And others, they were basically the same size all the way up. And it didn't narrow that much. So you can go with whatever shape you prefer. And you can add in more or less. You see this has more in it and this has less, according to however you want yours to look. I hope you enjoyed painting Texas Bluebonnets. Oh, wait a minute. Let's do the leaves. Okay, so to do the leaves here, you see they're kind of a star shaped. Now you can look at pictures to get more of an idea of what these are, but I'm just going to double load my filbert and see how this works. I've done this with a round brush, I did it with a filbert brush, and we'll see which one turns out better. Okay, here's the leaf. You see how it's kind of a star shape? Now let me see, I'm running out of paper here. Let me do this one. Here is the stem. So right there is where I want that star to come. My paints are getting a little dry, so I'm going to add a little moisture. Now let's see. Now we're going to press, pull, lift, press, pull, lift, and I'm kind of curving these ones. I'll reload just so I make sure I have plenty of paint. Press, pull, lift, press, pull, lift, press, pull, lift. Now you can make these wider as you wish, but it's just kind of a star shape. To me, I call it a star shape. And that is the leaves. You don't have to have very many leaves, you just have a few, because a lot of times lupins, they grow in masses, so you'll have more visibility of the flowers. And there, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this painting tutorial on lupins, or also known as Texas Bluebonnets.